5th, 2024, and June 3rd, 2024 meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve both as presented.
Any questions?
Question, Madam Chair.
Yes, John?
I questioned to the chief the June 5th meeting minutes. I recall raising a question about the roof monitors. There was a discussion at that time, and the committee agreed to reduce the number of monitors, I think, from 3 to 2. That detail wasn't in the minutes. The chief said he would double check with HKT. Janet, Amy, has that been reflected in design?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, enough said.
Did you wish for it to be in the minutes, too?
I think it should be. I mean, that's a decision that we made. So,
It was an important decision. I would say yes,
So approval as a...
as
I
amended.
will up to,
And-
substitute my motion for an amendment.
And the second?
Second.
Okay. So the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and at this point in time, John just spoke, but I have to bring it to everyone's attention. He's here as a liaison from the Financial Planning Commission and not a voting member of the committee. Okay, the construction document review. HKT?
Well, we have a set of the construction documents as they stand right now here. Our plan had been to go to the cost estimator this Friday with 50% CD set, which is according to the schedule that we've got, and we're still on target for that. We didn't bring a PowerPoint to show you. There's a lot of drawings. You can see just by the thickness of the set here, there's a lot of work that's gone into it. We've been doing a lot of work with coordinating with the engineers. Since we last met, we have had an electrical coordination meeting between the electrical engineer and the fire department in the town. We came out and spent, I don't know, a couple of hours with you guys, looking through all different spaces that they need, different electrical equipment. We've got the geothermal engineers on board. They actually were going to be out to the site earlier today with the driller to do some coordination and to lay out locations for the well fields. So we're steaming ahead. We're on target. Janet sent the schedule out, which she'll talk about a little bit. But our plan is to send everything to the cost estimator, like I said, this Friday. It will go to our cost estimator. It will go to Colliers so they can send it off to their cost estimator, and we'll go through the whole reconciliation process again.
Okay, questions from the board? And, yes, Rich?
So we're still on track to have our meeting on August, was it 28th?
28th, yep.
With the cost estimate having been
Right.
reviewed and so forth.
Yep, we're still on schedule. We have, I
Great.
forget the day. Do you remember?
16th.
Of the reconciliation.
Oh,
It's a Thursday.
22nd, maybe?
22nd, something like that. So they have 2 weeks for the estimate, and then they have a couple of days to look at each other's.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the reconciliation. I think it's a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think a time has been picked. And then we'll meet the following week. So that
Great.
gives them time to review, time to reconcile, and then have the number.
So like the last cost estimate, you're each sending out the set to your own estimators?
Yep,
And then-
they'll get it the
yeah,
same
that's
time.
great.
It goes to our
Yep.
estimator, goes to Colliers.
Good. It's a good
Yeah, and they'll
process.
review, and we'll have a meeting where they go through everything. And then where it goes through the reconciliation process, just like it did last time. We also take that opportunity to do just a design review, just to take a look at constructability and details and provide any kind of comments to the design team. Getting ready for, the final push to get these things ready for bidding.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. A vote to send 50% construction documents to estimator. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further questions? Hearing none? All's in favor? Okay. Okay, and the deputy chief is here to talk about the educational video
Do you want
program
me to do the
update.
schedule, Dawn?
Oh, you can do this,
Yeah,
yeah,
I just want, it'll take 3 seconds, because
that's fine.
it's the backside now, you can finish the front side, so yay, it's all great. I did just, if you're comparing the schedules, I did move the schedule around a little bit to move the town meeting up before bidding, because we're not bidding anymore. So that's changed those dates, not really the dates or the concept a little run. And we'll know, we won't know some of these bidding dates. At some point, you're going to have to decide when we're going to bid. But it's not going to be until after November 5th at the very earliest. And Amy, do we have some comment about, oh, yeah.
We had, before the bidding slid, we had been assuming that with the bidding schedule that we would be able to pull a permit before the end of this year. We came to the realization that that's not going to happen because of the change in the bidding schedule. There's a new building code that's coming out as of January 1st. It shouldn't be monumental, but we are going to have the code consultant take a fresh look at the design with the new code, given the schedule, because we won't be pulling a permit before January 1st when the new code goes into effect. So
Yes.
that's one thing that we...
Is the new code available now?
It is...
Draft.
A draft, exactly. And we heard that it's complicated because in Massachusetts, we adopt the International Building Code, but with Massachusetts amendments. And from what I understand, the amendments were on the state's website, but they pulled them recently because they're in draft form and they wanted to pull them before they were made final. So we have access to the IBC, but not to all the Massachusetts amendments at the moment. So
maybe they'll pull the whole thing and delay it. But I doubt
yeah,
it.
we actually just had we have lunch and learn seminars, and we had one with our code consultant to go over some of the changes and all. So I don't think it's going to be monumental, but they do have to take a fresh look and just make sure that there's nothing that triggers changes.
So I just bring that up, we do have to determine, but we've already talked about it last time about not bidding between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so that's why this is for sure. And I think that is still a bad idea to bid between Thanksgiving and Christmas based on experience, but certainly up to you to decide. And I think we can make that decision at our 31st meeting, or is that the day yes, our August 28th meeting. I'm reading the wrong month. So, but we should, have an idea. So, okay, so that's it. Anybody have any questions on the schedule? It's pretty similar. It's just, I said, Amy, I gotta make this, we're jumping around here too much, so. Okay, and then the other thing is we do have finance and appropriations next Tuesday. virtual.
6th.
Yep. So
And
that's.
Janet, that will be here in this room.
Yeah, you told me it was going to be virtual. It's not virtual?
There's a hybrid component, the chief has told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you for it to be hybrid?
Yeah?
Okay.
I know Mitch will be
I'll be remote,
remote. Yeah.
but I don't have a great participation in that particular meeting. I'll just be observing and answering
Yeah.
questions from the select board's perspective if any come up.
Okay, I think it's on the list to just talk about. I just wanted to bring it up on the schedule that's on the schedule. It wasn't probably last time. So, okay, that's it
Okay.
for schedule.
Okay.
Just before we wander from schedule, I know we haven't nailed down dates yet, but the bidding period is usually a roughly 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
You have maybe you could do it in 5, and have a week of kind of contingency in case you had addenda that went out and you needed to extend things. But just so in the back of your mind, we have, if we do it after the holidays, after the first of the year, coming back, so really January, February is essentially the bid period, and where we'd have bids by roughly around the end of February, and then be able to give a notice to proceed shortly thereafter. So that would be kind of a rough timeline.
I don't know how long it takes a town to do a contract,
Yeah.
I mean, if they were in the city of Cambridge, it could take 3 months, but if you were here, it could take a couple weeks.
I hope we're a little bit better than that.
They're terrible. They're just, they have a lot of things going on. So, okay, that's it for me for schedule. And Tim, you good with the schedule?
Yeah, the only thing is, it does kind of tie in with schedule, but it's the whole pre-qualification process.
Yes.
So our thought is to schedule a meeting with the pre-qualification committee, and we can do that remotely. What we would do is we'd send out the draft RFQ packages that we have. They're essentially pulled together. They just need to change a couple of dates and a couple highlighted areas where we want to just tailor them a little bit, but get the committee's input and then get it on into the central register, advertise it. So our schedule that we were looking for that is to place the ad in the central register on the 8th so that it would publish on the 14th
Which month?
of August.
Okay, okay, just want to make sure.
And then the RFQs would be due September 4th. And then we can take September and really through October to review them. Hopefully it doesn't take quite that long, but we have the time to do it. And that way we can identify or notify firms who are pre-qualified, and they would find that out prior to the November 5th election.
Tim, what level of detail might be in that RFQ?
It goes into a lot of very specific detail that's determined by DCAM as far as how long has a company ownership been involved in the company, their staff members that are going to be assigned to the job, how long have they been with the firm's similar project experience. We do have the opportunity to define what we call a similar project. That's always kind of tricky. You want to keep it broad enough where you're getting a good cross-section. You're not really, eliminating people. So for something like this, we might say a similar project is a fire station or DPW facility or other municipal project with a value of at least $20 million or something like that, so that you have a range that you can kind of tie to. But somebody who's never done anything over $10 million really isn't the appropriate person to be doing this project.
Right.
That's the one of the few areas where we get to customize it a little bit. The other area where we get to customize it is the value, the points, how we distribute the points among the different questions. So I believe I mentioned it before, we tend to go very heavy on references. Somebody's safety record, of course, is important, but not as important as, people's experience working with those firms. So we tend to weigh it very heavily on past experience, previous projects.
Thank you.
It also looks at things like bonding capacity, so a firm, we look at that, make sure they can bond the project, and they aren't like at the edge of their bonding capacity, sort of thing, so we just kind of take a glance at that.
And it usually has the DCAM update with their sort of ranking or rating and how they've done overall with, over a certain period, which is good information also.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, they'll all need to be DCAM certified. And so they have to have a current certification. They would have to submit their DCAM update statement, so that tells about what projects they're really working on now versus when they were last submitted their application for a DCAM certification. So it kind of gives you that up-to-date information. But it's on basic administrative things, the finances, and previous projects. And then there are certain, like the update statement, that are prerequisites, if you will. They're required. If they don't have those, they don't move forward.
Right.
But again, this process, while it gives us some information on these firms, the process isn't designed to really allow us to have any kind of flexibility. So we will review them all, and we'll talk as a committee about anything that concerns us, but we don't really have a lot of flexibility or latitude as far as not allowing people to bid.
We can ask about lawsuits and so forth, right? We can expect information back there.
It's common that
Yeah.
you would get a protest. Technically, the only reason that somebody can challenge a pre-qualification decision is if you're being arbitrary or capricious. But it doesn't stop people from putting it out there, and then it could have a delay or an impact on your timeline. So the fact that we have that timeline available to us, we want to try and get the process done so that if something does come up, we have that time to work with.
Could you explain what DCAM is?
No.
Division of Capital Asset Management.
Division of Capital Asset Management.
Yeah, DCAM is, you know, the Mass General Law identifies a law, and it's implemented, and the nuts and bolts of that are kind of identified and spelled out by the Department of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance. So it's a governmental agency. They kind of control certain projects or DCAM projects, and you have to follow DCAM procedures. Other projects are, whether they're municipal projects or school projects that are kind of run through the MSBA, they all kind of refer back to the DCAM process. So we often have to follow that DCAM process.
So it's a state agency that reviews qualifications.
Yes.
They don't actually review
They
them, they
don't.
sort of set out the standards, you review them.
Yeah.
You don't really participate?
They're
Just stuff on the background.
They're kind of a
Certification.
state agency. It is kind of, they have these things that they're getting better as far as being able to access their information. So we can go and review what other people have submitted for DCAM scores. When a contract is completed, you have to give certain contractors a score of how they perform. And so we can go back and review some of those at the DCAM offices. I think they are trying to automate things so that those scores come in electronically now, but it used to be where you would have to go to their office and you'd pick through their files. It was just archaic. So it's gotten a little better.
Thanks.
Anything else?
When I mentioned lawsuits, you answered a good question that was different than the one I had in my mind, which was, you answered the question about people challenging decisions. My recollection of the pre-qualification process is you get information as to any lawsuits that the contractors are or have recently been involved in, and you have the opportunity to disqualify based upon that. I've done that before without a protest somehow, so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of stuff that comes up as far as what kind of legal action is pending against a firm that does more work may have more pending items. And, you know, they have an OSHA violation because somebody cut the ground plug off their extension cord versus somebody got crushed or fell or something more serious. So it's because of this very methodical process we have to spell out of how we're going to score them. It limits our ability to be flexible on what's a significant issue and what isn't. But for the most part, even if they fail on that particular question, it may not prevent them from being pre-qualified overall.
Typically, I don't know how, Colliers probably has a matrix that you use, I assume, for the scoring. And the ones that I've done, you have to get 70 points out of 100. So it is, to your point, you can have some hiccups that are documented, but you may still qualify.
Yeah, it's been 12, 13 years since the last time I went through that pre-qualification process, but I'll see if I can find the scoring, because it was interesting. It was a high school project in another town, but it was worthwhile. And as I said, we disqualified 2 general contractors and 3 or 4 subs, and it had no challenges.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
The DCAM portion of this is at 70. 70 points is passing out of 100. There's 3 categories, and the amount of points available in each category is mandated by DCAM. But if you have 8 questions in that category, you can maneuver the score within that category to equal the total. So that's where we tend to skew it a little bit heavier towards references and less so on something that we might deem as a less significant issue.
So we need to form that pre-qualification committee, correct?
Yes, so that's what I was hoping that, you know, that we have to have a representative from the design firm, and then 3 from the owner, and 1 has to be your OPM.
Yep.
So you can have more, but those are the only ones that you can have voting.
And from what I remember, it's a 100% executive session set of meetings because you're reviewing financial documents and things like that that aren't public.
Yeah, not all of this information is available to the public.
There could be a lot of reviews, but you're going to be doing a significant, I mean, I've gotten where we've gotten 120, 130
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
responses. It's a lot.
A lot of trades on this project, pretty much.
Yeah,
all
and
of
hopefully we get about that
Yeah, we want
amount.
that. We want that, you know,
Yeah.
potentially. We want to get a big balance between all the sub-trades, because we have, I don't know how many we have, 16 sub-trades,
I haven't counted
Yeah, I haven't
them, but,
counted,
yeah.
but we have the
We
general
just-
contractor and 16 sub-trades.
Yeah, we
About
probably
15.
have about, the pre-qualified sub-trades, probably about, I don't know, 8 to 10. Elevator, you always put it out there, but you
That
never
never
get
gets-
anybody.
Yeah.
We don't have Terrazzo, and we don't have a couple others. But all the MEPs, mechanical, electrical, plumbing,
Roofing, painting.
roofing, painting,
Windows.
linoleum tile, acoustical ceiling tile.
Miscellaneous metals.
Yeah, miscellaneous metals, your handrails, and just angle iron type. But we'll do and as we meet as a group with the committee, we can talk about how we're proposing to go about the process, but we'll take on the lion's share of that, just because one of the big things that generates a protest is if there's any inconsistency. So reviewing and our review of the firms has to be consistent, and then we can talk about what we find as a group, and then Mel will make an informed decision. But it's that consistency that's going to be really important. So how many references we call, you know, if our scoring is based on all positive reviews, if you get one negative review, you get a little bit less. If you get 2 negative reviews, you get a little bit less. So we can't just call 2 for one firm and 8 for another. We have to, you know, reach out to a defined number of projects. We typically like to call either the architect or the OPM, just because they're usually more attuned with some of the details of the project that have gone through. So we try and, you know, you learn from when people challenge something. You know, you've been doing it for years and nobody ever said anything, and you're just assuming it's fine, and then somebody challenges it and you have to revise your process a little bit. And so we've learned from over the years that really that's kind of a little bit more work on our end up front, but it prevents the schedule from being delayed by miscellaneous challenges.
Anyone else? So when would we be picking the 3 people to serve?
If you can, I don't know if it's something that you can do this evening.
The chief,
Wants to volunteer.
the chief had some thoughts on that. I don't know if he discussed that with.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd recommend him for it.
Recommend the chief?
Get that.
I'm
yeah,
not
we
sure
can
that's-
officially do it at the next meeting.
The next meeting gives you enough time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still go about the process, and there won't be any need to,
The RFP should probably get reviewed by that committee before it gets released.
yeah, so then we would want to do it, at least get the committee.
Can you send it out in advance?
I can send it out tomorrow morning. It's ready to go. There's just a couple things that, as a draft, you'll see there's some yellow highlighted items where we're just going to change the dates, and just want to double check with procurement here in town if they have a hosting system to host the document where people can download it and upload it themselves, or should we go to a firm like Project Dog? I think Project Dog gave us a proposal to host for $595. That way they hold the list of who's reached out to them, and then people submit back to them, and that way if there's any addenda, they have that list and it goes out automatically to everybody. It's just,
We do have an RFP process on our website. I don't know the back end of it very well, but it exists and you have to register for it and you get
oh, that would
addenda
be
for that.
great.
But I would suggest reach out to the town administrator and let him make the call on the process that he'd like to use for it.
Yeah, if you have that set up, it's very convenient. You know, that way they can submit them all electronically, and you don't have mountains of paper.
Yeah,
that,
yeah, I don't know what this submittal process looks like for this. It might be, send us an email with a big attachment, and that might not work very good, but so speak to him.
Yeah, we'll dig into
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
We can reach out tomorrow.
yeah. If we don't, then for public benefit, it would be good to at least put a copy of the RFP on the town's website, so the public is just in the loop on this project, but make clear that that's not the place to submit any information.
Yeah, as a minimum, we have to advertise in the Central Register, we have to post locally where you post your legal postings, and we have to advertise in a local publication. So that's kind of the minimum we have to do.
So our next scheduled meeting as a board, not in front of the finance boards, is the 28th of August. Would that be okay to pick the people at night, or would you prefer tonight?
Well, maybe we can do I can send it out to the RFP to the whole committee and get people's thoughts as far as the building committee. And then if the pre-qual committee is made up of members on the building committee, then that's, at least you'll have seen it and it'll be in your hands. I can get kind of any comments you might have. There's really not a whole lot that we can change, honestly. So it's really just to make sure you've seen it and you're, it's kind of a rote process that we have to go through.
And you said it would be 3 members of the owners?
Yeah, one being the OPM.
Yeah.
Oh, so we
So
only
two,
need
so 2 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, and anybody who wants to dig through this stuff, you're more than welcome.
take
But we can only have officially 3 voting members from the owner.
And they don't have to be on the committee though, right?
No, they don't.
No, because we've had it in the past where we've had like 1 member and then we've had somebody else. It was a fire station and we had the chief and the deputy chief.
Good split of those.
Yeah,
I'm just saying if, you can always, bring in someone else.
yeah, in school departments where it's a bigger pool, we often have the maintenance or facility staff. They may have worked with some of these firms and, know a little bit about it. So sometimes we'll include them. So, certainly you guys can decide amongst yourselves who is appropriate, but as I mentioned, we'll be doing most of the actual review, and then we'll get together as a group and kind of talk about what we found.
The chief's not here tonight, but I'd just like to throw out my 2 cents. I think either the chief or the deputy chief should serve, and I think one of the 2 architects on this board should serve, and they
Diane
pointed to
should.
you.
I did offer, and the chief said, "You're on it," but that was not in a meeting, so I don't know that that's an official comment.
He told me to let you know that you're on it.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm happy to serve it.
and if the chief's agreeable to being on it, you felt that,
I think the chief definitely needs to be on it.
I do too. So I think that we can by agreement tonight do this, or take a vote. And then you've got your members,
Great.
okay?
Would you like a motion?
I would, please.
I'd like to make a motion that the chief and Diana are the building committee's representatives.
There's a
Second it.
Okay, anybody opposed, or anybody got any comments? All in favor? Okay, you can still vote. Okay,
But when you said 120, I was like, okay, yeah, that would be good, actually.
No, it's actually good.
okay.
Because if everybody remembers, these are the only people that can bid on the project. Once this pre-qualification process is over. No other contractors, no other small subcontractors can come into the game after
Well,
that.
just for those trades, though.
For the trades,
Yeah.
yeah, the general contractors still can bid to any structural, there's no structure in the thoughts of it. So he's taking numbers from wherever he wants. So anything that's related to anything other side, it doesn't matter where they're coming from. But those, how many, I'm up to 11 or 12 categories, I can't remember the rest. Those are the only people that can bid. And as what Tim was saying, we rarely, if ever, get an elevator.
Yeah, so what we'll
So
do
that
is,
is tricky.
as soon as they're due, and we're kind of targeting September 4th, if we don't get any elevators, we'll immediately go back out just for elevators, because that's what we have to do.
Yep.
Go through that process of advertising again, putting it out there. Again, we'll get no elevator responses, and then we can assign it to the general contractor to award that. But, we'll go through that process. But we will get hopefully, 100 or so packages. And what we would like to do is check during that process sometime prior to the 4th, and just make sure we're getting good coverage across each of those different bidders, because we are locked into that group after we close and vote. So even if we had 4 firms on every category, not necessarily would you get 4 bids from each category. So we just want to make sure that we do have good coverage, as many bidders as we can. A lot of times firms will put their hat in the ring, but they might get an award sometime in between getting pre-qualified and our bid going out to bid. So they're hedging their bets, just giving themselves that opportunity to bid if they don't get additional work. So you just never know. So we want to really cast a wide net, but at the same time, do a good review, and where we can, tailor this process to what's going to work best for our project, meaning identifying what a similar project is, targeting the scoring to the categories that we think make the most sense.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right, discussion on presentation, I'm jumping. Educational video program update.
Oh, that's me?
It's you.
No, I'll just,
You can come right up here.
I'll come right up to it. All right, so, those of you that are not aware, so the fire department and the building committee has a very informative website with a lot of information on it. Every meeting, frequently asked questions with every question that we've got since this inception in the last year. But as they grew and the frequently asked question, it gets a little busy and hard to kind of follow it all. And we want to make sure that we cover the whole population. Some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people like to watch. So we came up with a video campaign that I think every single one of you has been involved in. Thank you. And then other players in town. I think we're about 15 segments, and they're all, I think the longest one is 13 minutes maybe, and that's the money one, so there's a lot of detail on that one. So let's see, Kaylee from Cable, she's been a rock star on this stuff, great asset for the town. So she's been editing the videos, putting them together, going back and forth. I think we're pretty close to wrapping it up and rolling it out in the next couple of weeks, maybe even a week. To roll them out. Everybody did great, and like I told y'all when you came in and did it, I said, she's gonna make you look good. You're gonna think like, oh, I did terrible, myself included, but I've watched all the videos, and you guys have seen some of them, and she does the ways that she cuts them, like people are gonna be really impressed. So, you did do a good job. Excuse me, they all did a good job, but the way she presented it, you look really good. But I think it's important, and I thank you and I applaud all you. It was kind of a brainchild that a couple of us came up with, and it was a lot of lift, but I think it'll have a lot of value to get even more information out to the town that they can watch. So look forward to it. And then the way that it'll be run out is you'll be able to watch all of them in one clip, or you'll be able to pick individual ones. There is an intro one that has it, and then there's some continuous information on some of those slides in each video. So it should be pretty good, and then how we roll them out, we'll have to advertise them so people know. But those of you in virtual land, keep your eye out for those. In the meantime, check out the fire department website, the nb-firestation.org, to keep up to date on those. And as for the videos, as I was listening, I think one of the plans too, as the cost estimates come in, because we've already done some of those videos, is we'll just add an addendum into it and just say, these are the updated numbers. This segment has older numbers. We'll kind of figure that out so it's a little bit more up to date rather than re-filming the whole thing, because as you all know, it was difficult getting time and logistics. So, or Kaylee might be able to do some AI stuff with you, make you look good. So other than that, if there's any questions on them. Yep.
Madam Chair, question.
Yep.
What's our plan to make people aware that we have these videos certainly it's on the website, but how do you drive people to want to go look at it? Do we have a plan for that?
Yeah, we have to discuss that. Open to any ideas from anybody. I think, potentially, maybe every board and committee can have like a little announcement agenda item on their agendas if that's allowable, so that, if people are going to different meetings, it'd be like, oh, just as an announcement, this is being rolled out. And again, they're informational videos, so there won't be any conflict of supporting or soliciting a vote on them, so basically it's just informative. So if it was just a note on something, that could be, we'll try to get it out into some of the local newspapers, post it in places, but I'm open to ideas on that. You guys know the
We have
town.
a bylaw that requires the town to send mail to all residents in advance of special town meetings.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
that would be an ideal, I assume we'll probably just do something inexpensive like a postcard, maybe a letter.
Okay,
Hasn't
cool.
been discussed yet.
Yep.
And that would be
Yeah.
an ideal place for that, and, it might contain your recommendations as part of that.
Yeah,
I would also suggest that the committee consider something prominent on the homepage of the town website that gets you into that, and Apple Fest.
Yeah.
You have a perfect opportunity to get
should
a
have a
bunch
booth.
of
We should have a
eyeballs
booth.
and people's hearts and minds at Apple Fest for a day, doing something that drives them to this, or signage, or could drive a bunch of more than drive a bunch of fire engines down the street, something that raises the awareness of the project.
Yeah. We should probably have a booth at the street fair.
Do that?
And, put a big sign on the side of one of the trucks that goes down the street in the parade.
Well, a booth at the fair costs money. So,
I can, as a member of the Rotary Club that runs the street fair, I might be able to help with that.
only
No
because we can't
promises.
take it from the town because of Proposition 2.5 push.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're interested in having a booth and people are willing to help staff the booth, I can probably sort out that detail one way or the other.
Does anyone remember the Apple Fest dates?
Anybody what?
I just wondered what the Apple Fest dates were this year.
21st, 22nd, maybe? Street fair is Saturday, the 21st, and the parade is Sunday, the 22nd.
I was going to volunteer to work at the booth, but I'm out of town then, sorry. But that's great. I think that's also, I'm sure this is one of the spots when you said posting around town, but it seems like we could supplement something on the sign we have on the site, directing people to the website where the videos are.
yeah, I'm sure we
We
can.
can't scan, but
Yeah.
we can note it.
And that's one of the things, we didn't get it out in time, and so now expenditures become, an issue, but, a flyer, a flyer with a QR code would be good, but we kind of held off until the videos were done, because otherwise, people hit it hard and then forget and go back, so, we can kind of figure out some things on that to get them out to different places.
Kind of signage.
Yeah, something that they can just see it and scan it.
The Apple Fest date is key because 2 weeks later, we have town meeting.
I think that's a good, it would be very good to get this stuff out, educated, and then that's the opportunity that people come, and if they have specific questions, they can address them or something.
Yeah, we might benefit by,
Have the open house at the fire station during Apple.
oh, yeah,
That's-
yeah,
that
we
would
always
be-
have that.
yeah.
It might benefit us to have like a couple of largish size renderings or something like that.
Yeah.
If that's something you could help with, one at the booth and one at the fire station. That's the town's largest annual public event. Assuming the weather is even reasonably decent, a lot of townspeople come through the street fair that day.
So anything prior to that, definitely, email the chief or I with, anybody with ideas on how to distribute information. We want to get it out to Rotary, maybe some of the churches, the senior center, the library, but how do we, it's only a segment of the population, so how do we get
I
across.
was just going to suggest, we had one chief, he had a pack-and-go presentation at the time, so we made a small presentation for him. He carried it everywhere he went. And he got somebody in an elevator, oh, you know, boom. But he also visited every small group and club or committee in
Yep.
the town.
Yep.
So he
Yes.
got 5 minutes of their time and did it or whatever. And that, you know, since you did the videos, you know, pick the ones that are the easiest to grasp the question
Mhm.
and just ask for 5 minutes of time and just hop to
Yeah.
those meetings. And he
Okay.
got them all in. So another suggestion, like, don't pick just the Rotary or.
Yeah, yeah.
Go to everybody.
Every organization.
Like the sewing clubs, you know.
Yeah.
We're having a little, you know, a group and he'd show up, you know, whatever. So.
All
just an
right,
idea.
perfect. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of all of them, so definitely, you know, and the chief might miss a few, so definitely set them up, you know.
Okay. So our next meeting is the 28th, so if everybody could kind of look at their schedule and see the availability on the 21st of September. So that I can staff in the afternoon, I don't have the morning free, but after 1 o'clock, I can do it with help. from
Madam
everybody
Chair,
else.
is a liaison allowed to participate?
Certainly.
Okay, count me in.
So, but if everybody commits on the next meeting to who can staff, who will be available, okay? Just check your schedules. Okay.
All set, thank you.
That's it, unless anybody has any other questions. The videos so far that I've seen look great.
Yeah, they look
They're
really
kind of
good.
exciting.
They are, they're good.
They really are, so thank you.
No, sure.
Okay. All right, discussion on the presentation of the financial planning and appropriations. And I felt that this was important before we go into it next week. John chairs financial planning, so your ideas on how it will be presented.
I envision, without having talked to the chief, that he would use the same presentation he did with the select board. So certainly we convene the meeting. I envision that appropriations and financial planning will both have a quorum. Go through the chief's presentation, open it for Q&A, and if Colliers and/or HKT can be available remote, that would be good, with any detailed questions that we might have to field your way. Mitch, you mentioned something earlier about a draft warrant. Do we need to check with Tim and company to make sure that would be available at the meeting?
Yeah, I suggest that. So the select board has voted to have a special town meeting on the 7th of October, with some discussion as to whether it would be 6 or 7 p.m., and I don't remember where that landed, but we voted one way or the other. We did not actually place any articles on that warrant yet. We'll be doing that at our next meeting, which is the 12th of August. And of course, we don't have a final cost of the project. So I will leave that up to you and Tim to work that out. I know I have seen a draft special town meeting article. I think it was in a memo from Andy that he sent to the select board. So, you know, and given this is a debt exclusion, the language is really mandated by state law. So you should have something solid to work with. And, you know, I would imagine, you know, the other question is, what do you use for a dollar figure? Because we know that will change towards the end of August when the final cost estimate comes in. I will leave it up to you and Scott to sort that out, but my suggestion is use maybe the same number that Jason did in his analysis of tax projections. He took a number midway, maybe a little bit higher than midway of the range that we were working in most recently, and used that as a basis.
If we said not to exceed X dollars, is that
If you
palatable?
Yeah, I mean,
Purposes of what we're doing?
Yeah, I would, at that point, I would probably use the top end of the
Right,
range.
yes. Okay. I'll talk to Tim tomorrow as a priority and make sure we have something available for the meeting. And I envision that, barring anything earth-shattering, both committees would have a vote at that time.
Excellent.
Okay, so a presentation similar to the one that was
That the
presented to the
chief,
Board
that the
of
chief used
Selectmen.
with Select Board on the 15th, yes.
And then questions and answers, and then there'd likely be a vote from both the committees.
I envisioned that, yes. Certainly, we're going to start with a roll call, then any public comment, and then we get into the presentation.
Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. right, any other business that legally can come before the committee?
Well, HKT has brought a set of construction drawings. Is it possible I could look at them? Because one of my side jobs is an inspector in Westboro, and that's what I do every day, is I review construction drawings for the commercial and residential. So I'd be happy to take out my red pen and autograph it.
Take out your Minox camera and,
So I don't know where they were supposed to go to,
So
the
the-
chief?
Technically, no.
Technically, we had already started marking these up for some people in the office, so we were going to bring them back, but I can
Okay.
certainly send you a PDF if you'd like to have a look at it.
Sure, that'd be great.
That would be great.
And these are already,
There are, yes.
a
they
week
printed-
old, I mean, there's
Are
something.
these large 32,
30 by
36?
42.
30 by
30 by 42, okay. I'll probably send it to Staples and get it printed.
So, yeah, I mean,
We'll
they're
send you this
ever
on
evolving.
Friday. Yeah, we'll send the set
Friday.
from Friday coming.
Yeah, that's
That
great.
gives everybody, like, we're working. So,
Okay, thank you for volunteering. Any other business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, we'll see you next week.